They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You can play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh my goodness, let's see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice. Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it. Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, world? Welcome to another edition of Earn Your Liberation right here on Black Power Media. Geechee Y'all, Jared Ball, Brother Diallo on Diva Time. What's up, sir? How you feeling this morning?
I'm doing well. How you feeling?
I am as good as could be expected. So greetings to you. Yeah. What's up?
Since last week of us getting called all type of names, I've been Googling shit. I don't even know what tether babbling. I don't know what that means, but I was still looking it up. We got called tethers like 50,000 times in the comments.
Tethers?
I mean, that's Tariq's lingo, man. So I don't really know what that means, but I know he misused plebiscite, but we tether.
Yeah, somebody break that down to me. Oh, we were getting called. I didn't check the comments. We got name called in the comments.
Yeah, man, we tether babbling. That's what he said. Diallo said he didn't get the link. Let me send him the link.
I got it. I sent it to him.
Oh.
I thought everybody can log in here. What does everybody do? I don't understand.
Listen, back in the rookie days, Diallo used to make me send him the link, to text him the link. So now that we got some, buttons and shit, I think we don't need the link no more. But
it's an
tethers. Okay.
Worm.
But what does it mean though? Because the brother using plebiscite wrong. So I figured that he'd just be throwing out words and shit.
Oh, as in being tethered, as in attached to something. So what are we attached to? Other Africans?
No, I think we're attached to the Democratic leanings, according to the tether Babel.
Well, my father is ADOS, so I'm only half tethered. So, tethered, gynocentric. Look, man, I told people a long time ago, my theme song growing up, I can't say growing up, I was already grown, but my theme song my adopted theme song as a grown man is Redman's I Be That.
Oh.
So I'm like, you know what I mean? People see me rolling down the street, they be like, fuck you. I be that. You know, so it's whatever, man. I don't really care, man. I mean, if that's the argument, if that's the extent of the argument, all right, whatever.
I don't know. With his latest, shit talking against. Well, he actually has similar critiques against Tamika Mallory as us, but he's talking about the Justin Peterson. He's talking about Tamika Mallory.
Now you talking about Tariq Nasheed.
Tariq.
You're saying he would categorize us with Tamika Mallory?
No, I'm saying he gives Tamika Mallory a similar critique that we give her. He talks shit about her being a paid activist and driving around in Cadillacs and shit.
Give me my half check.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think his sycophants, they enjoy when he critique other black folks, but when we critique him, that's when we become a problem. So
he didn't respond to anything we said though, did he?
Nah, just his sycophants. His sycophants been, in the comments all day.
Okay, I haven't looked at the comments lately, so I don't know if Diallo can hear us. Both of you are on the road. We need to.
I can hear.
Oh, okay.
I hear.
Oh. You got some headphones, Diallo?
He don't have internet either.
Man, this man coming late.
So your wilderness sounds are louder than my tree line street sounds.
Oh damn, my bad. The birds go.
Diallo got headphones.
I gotta connect them.
He definitely doesn't have a mic.
The headphones have a mic, I think. Are these it?
Nah. So let me yeah, and I'm hearing my voice echo. There's some echo.
Sorry, hold on.
So let me let Diallo get himself together real quick. So before we get to any of that, let me give a couple shout outs real quick. You just ran into the heat of the battle. We gotta let it marinate. We gotta let people file in a little bit. And I was gonna say I got a story to tell, but I don't want to evoke Biggie when it's a very different context, very different story. Uh-oh. I dismiss them all. So I'm equally dismissive of all the reverse hashtags, the anti hashtags. I am fully a soda drinker around here. And for those who don't know, just as another reminder, that is solidarity of dispersed Africans or diasporan Africans. So, speaking of which, and I'm tempted, I was tempted, Ricky, but I was like, nah, I don't even care. Speaking of which, I wore the perfect shirt for it and everything. So but so big shout out to the folks of the Kumba Academy in DC, and to my main man Bashi Rose, who so check this out, man. So I'm so sometimes I'm a little distracted. So I didn't even realize that yesterday was a wellness day for students. So we didn't have classes. So I went into campus, showed up to my classes. Nobody was there. I was like, dang. I was like, but good for them. Good for them not showing up. But the only issue was that I had invited the Kumba Academy kids through my man Bashi. We had arranged for them to come because they wanted to see a college class environment. And so rather than trying to reschedule everything and try to get a whole bunch of people to we just set up shop, ordered some pizza, some vegan pizza, and set up shop in the auditorium and did an impromptu lecture Q&A with these young African students, and it was dope. It was just dope. It's just great to see what could occur outside if our educational system was redesigned, and you talk about if folks in this country are mad at CRT, like these kinds of African-centered environments would cause like heart attacks and like their heads would explode, because you see all these beautiful African, first of all, self-referencing as Africans, come in and talk about Jambo, wearing their dashikis. I mean, it was like overload for the DeSantos crew, for the DeSantises. Anyway, but it was dope, and it had a beautiful conversation. Got into even some complicated issues, and it was a challenge to try to it's always a challenge for me to try to break down certain things, but to break it down for students of that age all the way down to like 8-9 years old. Anyway, it was dope, man. So big shout out to the Kumba Academy, to my main man Bashi, to that whole collective. It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic, and a great way to spend a bulk of the morning and early afternoon. So anyway, I thought I had something else to share, but I can't remember now. So, but anyway, and that was it. I just wanted to shout them out real quick before we dive all the way in. And then just a quick heads up and a reminder, at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be back this morning. At 11 o'clock this morning, we're going to come back with Dr. Armand Towns and Dr. Todd Stephen Burrows to talk about Black media philosophy, Professor Towns' work on Black media philosophy. So please come back and join us for that. And if you're not watching this live, after you do watch this, go check that out as well. Anyway, Diallo, how you doing? You good? We straight?
I'm well. I think I got it all together. I hope my mic is good.
I mean, you sound fine. It's not. I don't think it's plugged in or whatever, but you sound fine. I think that's good enough. All right. So where were we? So we want to pick right back up with that. So I don't know if you got to hear any of that, Diallo, but we were being caught up onto what apparently we've been called a number of times tethers now. By the Tariq FBA supportive community in the comments to the last episode of Earn Your Liberation.
What's a tether?
Well, that's what we were hoping you had the answer, and folks in the chat thought you were going to have the answer.
Yeah,
I know what a tether is. You know, like a tether ball, like something that ties you to something else.
It was also it was supposed to be, I thought, a stable coin in the crypto community too at one point. But I think it's supposed to mean something else. So I think it has to do with
tether babbling. We was tether babbling.
Yeah, I'm not born of Black American ADOS parentage, but I don't know how they got tethered.
Oh, so like Anchor Baby, like that Anchor Baby shit.
Oh, is that what that's supposed to be connected to? So
that's what I thought when I first heard it, but I'm like, I don't think that applies to any of us.
Oh, okay.
So they were I think that's another way to say anchor.
Okay.
I think that's another way of saying Anchor Baby, and I often get because of my name.
Right.
They often assume I'm not.
Okay.
I'm an immigrant. So.
And Geechee could get that too if they don't know or go by the government. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But they get into a whole bunch of like eugenic style craniology and whatever, right? You know, like whatever they call it. I don't know if it's craniology. I'm just making stuff up now. But so they start judging the hairline and
the width of nose. Yeah. They first claim they always retreat to when I start to challenge those elements of ADOS when I engage with them. They always pretend like it's securing justice for victims of slavery and descendants of slavery. But then it always falls to anti-immigrant and basically trying to essentially dehumanize non-U.S. citizens, non-ADOS blacks. It always descends to that where they don't want African or Caribbean actors to get roles in movies produced in the U.S. They don't want them to hold titles and positions within U.S. corporations. You know, it always goes to that, but they have their public face of, oh no, we just want reparations for historical injustices. But it always, like you said, falls to, skin tone, head shape, facial features, accents, and names. Like if your name is not, William Washington, and if you're a black person and you have an African name, they look at you with hostility and suspicion.
Hey, well, my last name likely comes from George Washington's slave-owning mama, so I'm good to go. I got the
y'all don't want to know my government last name. Oh, I sent you
European motherland. Yeah, you sent me yours.
I sent you my full government, my pedigree.
You wanted that check. You wanted that BPM check.
my ADOS pedigree is untested. It's indisputable. What are them adjectives that Mike Tyson used to use? Incontributable, indefensible, uncontributable, infinitesimal. You know, my pedigree. They don't want to mess with me. It don't get more DOS than my A.
I know that's right. I got the whitest last name ever, so I'm good to go. That's how you know. That's how you know.
Name somebody. I mean, aside after the Washingtons, y'all don't want to hear my government. I shut all this shit down. Anyway. With my full government name.
In fact, years ago, I got the Ball family in England sent me a whole, do you want your family crest? Do you want to be connected to the tradition, whatever? I was like, what? Yeah, that was stolen too. I thought the same thing. I was just going to take it without saying anything. Nobody's more DOS than my A. That's stolen. As soon as you said it, as soon as the words left your mouth, stolen.
Listen.
Stolen.
Listen, I'm sure those. Listen. Don't shake my family tree. Mad crackers. Oh, slave owners. Oh, man. Yeah.
The Ball crest is old England, old Europe. And they tracked me down. They sent me a whole package. It was like, and at the time I was being super African. I tore it up, threw it away. I was like, I'm about to change. I don't want no connection to these devils.
Yeah,
but
see,
I should have showed up like when the Black Jefferson descendants showed up years ago. The first one wasn't the first one hostile. I think they made up over the years, but didn't some Black relatives descendants just show up that one of them Jefferson?
Yeah.
People got mad.
See, I took the easy way. You know, I had a homeboy named Davis, and he legally changed his name to an African name, and that shit was like $1,500 the whole process. And I'm like, I just start using my last name. My middle name is my last name. Fuck the bullshit. I can't go through all that. Get these crackers, all that money after, we slaved to get the name, and then we got to pay to lose it. Man, I wish I would.
Much? Wow. I've always I still regret that I didn't change it. But anyway,
I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah. He went through an African ceremony. And so they had to ask the ancestors for his name. I don't know how much it costs to just do the paperwork, but he paid this guru, this African Kemetic shaman.
Where in Ghana? In Ghana or here?
In Oklahoma, man. Calm down. It was Oklahoma. So he went to this shaman, and he has to get your parents' name and their time of birth, and then get yours. And the way they get your name is they get the exact alignment of the stars from the very moment you were born. And when they get the alignment of the stars from the moment you were born, that's how they extract your name from the ancestral realm and give you your ancestral name. And it's a name with 15 syllables, right? And then they had this rebirth renaming ceremony, and that was 3 G's. So the 1,500 was just for him to extract your name from the stars, the ancestral name. But I mean, he got a name that, and then everybody still just call him Kenny or whatever. He went around for 5 years. Nobody would call him by this, complex name. And he'd be like, y'all slaves, y'all just, and I think it was the money. I don't even think it was the principle. So anyway, I took the easy way out. I just use my first and middle name, and I just don't use my last name unless it's to get money, unless you're cutting a check.
But wait a minute, though. I just got good news.
I show up.
I just found out that me and Franny are related. We kin.
Yeah.
Look at that. What's up, Franny? I didn't know. You should have spoken up earlier. I see you at the cookout.
Shoot.
Anyway, oh my God. Okay. Woo! Oh, that was a lot. That was funny. All right, where we want to go next, fellas?
The name
what you want to
game.
do, man? We got it's let's finish up anything more on the Tariq and tethering. What?
Well,
You say
well,
they've
I
united
think
with
we
the
might as well
Moors.
No, I didn't see that.
we might as well get started with the Justin Pearson, since Tariq gave Justin Pearson his critique, and you just mentioned something about some dashiki wearing folks. So Justin Pearson, the state representative in Memphis, who him and his other brother was wearing the dashiki, they was advocating for gun laws. They got kicked out of the house and came back in. But anyway, he gave Justin Pearson the critique. I don't know if y'all saw the video where at one point he was talking like Steve Urkel, and then he came back with an afro to Martin Luther King. And
I saw the comedy hype joint. I can play this real quick.
Which I thought was kind of weak, but yeah, let's do that.
This is from comedy hype, and where he calls out Justin Pearson for fronting.
Let's take a look at
Justin J. Pearson, and I'm running for president of PSG. There are a few reasons that we're running this campaign this year. One has to do with representation. How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I want to do this by partnering with organizations from the Boone Democrats to the Boone Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle.
Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes.
Pierre, I'm coming straight to you.
So that was what. So Tariq would say that this made him phony. Hold on, let me see. Hold on a second. Do they play that part? No. I'm sorry, but go ahead. Yeah, they don't play the Tariq response, but they so he was just saying, yeah, the dude was being phony. He was fake. And then the folks on Comedy Central, or Comedy Hype rather, were more defensive of him and saying, we all code switch, we all change, and of course they did the thing that Diallo loves so much. They evoked the comparison to Malcolm and said that if Malcolm could change and go from a pimp and a hustler, why can't this dude, or even Tariq apparently, go from being a pimp and a hustler to something else? So, but they were more defensive of Pearson and less of Tariq. And but yeah, and they, in fact, they raised the exact critique I would have raised, which was, as we showed last week, wasn't Tariq a pimp at one point? Now talking radical blackness or whatever his version of that is, and well, so why can't my man have a shift?
Well, Tariq said for 20 years he's been using the same voice and the same hustle.
That's right, same voice, right?
He's applying his pimp strategy to the game. So he said he haven't changed. So he has his way out. But again, I don't hear. I was actually looking up Justin's politics and I couldn't really find much other than the gun laws. But Tariq is really critiquing them because of the reparations thing. Like, Tesla on I'm about to say Black Power Media. What's Charlamagne them show? Breakfast Club. Yeah. Tesla on Breakfast Club was pressing him about
they went
what's his agenda for Black people. Yeah.
You want to play that part? Because they play that part on here. Do you want to play any of that?
Yeah, but only one of the comedians kind of like, they were saying like, he's young, he's only 28, we shouldn't be pressing him like that, but he's in office, so they said he should get grilled and be able to speak about his platform, which he did. But yeah, we can play that.
Yeah, hold on, let me find the spot real quick. But here we go. Let's see.
Care whether you got afro, dreadlocks, whatever. Like, it's just like Pierre said, we all have things where we've changed, we've grown. We don't have time to be nitpicking about stuff. We got too many issues as a community.
I thought I had it right there.
He's a Democrat, right? He is a Democrat. That is a good. Why was he not on the floor? I believe on that day he was actually excused. But another point that I think you're making is, how do we build more solidarity with people who no, that's not the point I'm making. Tell me about your black policy. Not about everybody and help everybody. Do you support reparations? Some people said you didn't, and then others said you did. Like, give us a quick rundown specifically on black people that you represent in your district. When you do for black folk, everybody does benefit. Yeah, we know, but I'm gonna ask you about the black policy. So I am. I know about your policy. My policies, exactly. Like, when you think about reparations, I'm 100% for reparations, for cash, for credit, for check, for credit card, for trust fund. What about reparations for all of these harms that we have experienced? All the way up to the present day. Are you willing to put it on your website though? Because it's not under your website on issues.
Now, as I mentioned.
So when did she join Breakfast Club? She's a new member, right? Did she replace Angela?
She's always been like a pundit to have some political talk around here, and Charlemagne he has a lot of those type of black women in his pocket, and she's the latest one.
Okay. By the way, that demonstrates another reason why I struggle with the use of this issue of reparations as a platform plank. Like, so now she gets to challenge him as a radical because he doesn't make that a focus of his platform, so that therefore he can't possibly be worthy of support for anything. But anyway, go ahead, Diallo. I don't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same school of thoughts where these reactionaries talk about black policy. And from I sent you guys the article. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, about black conservatism in hip hop. And really a pretty thoroughly written article on Rolling Stone, because DJ Academic has gone over to Rumble, which is the far right wing alternative to YouTube. For all the Rumble was set up for all the YouTubers, and when Twitter, after the January 6th feces smearing campaign, the January 6th riot, social media, the dominant social media sites went about, basically banning a lot of right-wing accounts. And so some right-wing fascists saw an opportunity, and some venture capitalists came together and founded a right-wing YouTube page. And they've been hiring talent to come over there to exclusively broadcast on Rumble. And their thing is they don't censor. And by not censor, meaning that they allow overt racism and sexism, homophobia, and all the shit that the right just can't get enough of. And so they just brought on DJ Academics as a voice. And DJ Academics and so many other rappers espouse right wing. And now we even have, not sure if you guys are NORE, the Nori controversy with him having racists and fascists on his platform. Kanye going full Nazi.
Yeah, that one but I'm not as familiar with anything beyond that. Now I've been having this debate. I did a debate a couple of years ago when Ice Cube came in with the contract for Black America. Mm-hmm. And I read the contract, and it was a right-wing, ultra-conservative, nationalist, ADOS, FBA, to the point where, with a provision within Ice Cube, the gangster rapper, with a provision within his reparations platform, called for the prosecution and jailing of any non-ADOS that applied for reparations. So if your grandparents came from another country, but you were raised in the US and you either didn't know or felt personally that you should be eligible, they don't just deny you your application. He wants them to be prosecuted and jailed for non-ADOS who make an attempt to appeal or apply for reparations. Mr. Fuck the Police himself,
who wrote his verse and Eazy-E's verse for "Fuck the Police," is calling for, you know, the persecution and prosecution of anyone that seeks reparations, you know, from the U.S. Any black person. He didn't say, you know, anything about any other population. Any black person from the Africa, the Caribbean, any Afro-Latino that seeks reparations. So ultra conservatism is always prominent in hip hop, going all the way back to George W. Bush, when George Bush was running for re-election, and that's when one of the biggest rapper at the time was 50 Cent, you know, and he was still riding high off of Get Rich or Die Trying, and he said, "I want to vote for Bush because Bush is a gangster," and praising George Bush war on terror and atrocities, drone bombings, and he asserted that that's gangster, that's something that is commendable, and something that 50 Cent himself would strive to be if he was in that position. And he said, "Yeah, I'm definitely down with George Bush because George Bush is a gangster like me." So this article didn't go that much into depth, but I'm glad that
sorry, go ahead.
No, well, they pointed out that hip hop is always seen as progressive and left, and that is not the case with modern hip hop, or even the hip hop of our era had quite a few conservative, right wing, centrist positions and stars who took those positions politically.
Yeah, so this is the article here. Rumble's deal with academics is a sign of the hip hop world's right wing impulse, by Andre Gee. Were you saying something, Geechee?
No, I was about to say, well, I don't know if y'all know Roland is he's also talking about how of a bullshit deal this is, and that he himself turned down Rumble because Rumble approached him. So Roland, y'all won with Roland right now.
I mean, Rumble approached us. Rumble approached BPM. We I guess flirted with the idea briefly as an alternative to YouTube until we realized what it was and left as well. So they're out there. They're probing for, just like Call In and all these other apps. They're probing for initial content creators or initial boosters for their platforms. But again, kind of like what I feel like with the abuse of reparations, Roland's ability to turn down an extremely conservative platform makes he's able to position himself using that as some sort of radical, as if he's done something heroic, and it's not that deep. But there are a number of things that, anyway, but there are a number of things in this article that I think they get wrong, or they follow a pattern of getting wrong that I would want to bring up here at least quickly, but this is just a quick overview of DJ Academics, and if anybody's not familiar with him, they go through a little bit of his background. I only know of him coming up through the whole Chirac thing and the looking to basically interview as much gangsters and thugs and platform as much of that stuff as possible, and then start internet beefs with various YouTubers, like silly YouTube stuff. And then he said, I do know that he said not too long ago, he was the one, I think, who said something like, old school rappers are silly and stupid and
grimy. He said they look dusty. He said they all look dusty.
Right. Thank you. Exactly. So this is him. So like he says, he looks forward to going to Rumble and expanding to larger platforms. Rumble, the Toronto-based company, which was founded in 2013, came to prominence recently after offering a platform to controversial podcaster Andrew Tate following his ban from YouTube and TikTok. The deal for a show aptly titled Tate's Speech is reportedly worth millions. Earlier this year, the company announced an exclusive partnership with Donald Trump Jr. for a bi-weekly live stream show titled Triggered with Don Jr., while some of its biggest stars are less overtly conservative, like Russell Brand or Glenn Greenwald.
Russell Brand is overtly conservative.
I think so is Glenn Greenwald at this point too.
And so is Glenn Greenwald. Come on.
But relative, I think they're just trying to say relative to Donald Trump Jr. maybe, or Andrew Tate. I don't know, but
they're
anyway.
worse. But let's go on. Yeah,
maybe
that's absolutely incorrect.
Hey, that's an argument to be made for that too. Yeah. Well, some of its biggest stars. Anyway, the site has become a haven for right-wing commentary thanks to its positioning as a counter to so-called woke platforms that often flag and remove content deemed to be harmful or to contain misinformation. A Pew Research study found that 76% of people on the site identify as Republicans or lean toward the Republican Party. And the deal, it says here, exemplifies with the deal of academics, it exemplifies how conservative-minded hip-hop figures have become in 2023, how conservative-minded hip-hop media figures have become in 2023. Now this part, so anyway, hip-hop as a community hip-hop as a community is more conservative than many fans would like to admit. The recent documentary, Fight the Power, How Hip-Hop Changed the World, showed that there are many anti-establishment artists who definitely call out white supremacy and contribute to left-leaning causes. Well, that paragraph or that phrase got my attention because that's ridiculous. And people, I would encourage you to go watch my 4-part breakdown of their 4-part nonsensical series. But yeah, this point is absurd. Diallo, go ahead.
No, even the progressives, the progressives, Chuck D,
Killer Mike,
Chuck D, upon Colin Powell's death, wrote a loving article, and it had posted Chuck D on his social media accounts, recounting what a loss the death of Chuck D has, the loss of Colin Powell. The loss of Colin Powell has been for the country and for the Black community as a whole.
Right.
And I normally don't respond, but I even had to go to Chuck D like, well, goddamn, I got a letter from the government the other day. You know, I opened and read it and said, you was a sucker. And I couldn't believe. So even our most KRS-One, who's essentially an evangelical Christian at this point.
Basically. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you said Killer Mike, but I mean,
well, the series starts.
But Diallo, you try to know
my fault.
Diallo, you try to know my text. You supposed to help KRS-One with his Bible, so he got his new Bible that he promoting, and you supposed to help him.
Hey, like I said, I have to confess, I'm a Boogie Down Productions fan, not a KRS-One fan. I'm a BDP fan. So if it ain't BDP, I can't vouch for it at this point.
Nah. But nah, B, yeah. KRS will throw you off the stage if you are PM Dawn.
Yeah.
He chose carefully. He showed the selective rage or outrage that Chris Rock was talking about in terms of Will Smith. KRS picked very carefully.
I saw him put. I went to see him. He showed up at an MC Shan performance and put MC Shan in a headlock.
I rest my case.
MC Shan is 5'2", 115 pounds, but still, he had to defend the
what, 6'5", 6'6", 300?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Shan had it coming. The bridge is over. Okay. You know what I'm saying? What's going? The bridge is over. Shan should have known.
He should have known, but
the bridge is over. Queensbridge. We straight Bronx, South Bronx, and boogie down.
So
that was justified. That's all I'm saying. KRS-One was justified.
That was the first problem I had with this piece here. And then it continues even more overtly. Rappers have been inching closer to conservatives for many years. It may seem incongruous to many to see Meek Mill hanging with Trump ally Robert Kraft, Kanye West joining forces with Nazi apologists and commentators like Candace Owens or Lil Pump campaigning for Donald Trump. But the brand of capitalist patriarchy at the root of modern conservatism has long permeated hip hop. So while this is in part true, of course, what this article leaves out, like so many who make commentary about hip hop, is that there is no hip hop industry. There are no famous celebrities. There are no quote unquote successful rappers without conservative whites both supporting them at the corporate industry level and at the consumer level. So this idea that rap music or any cultural expression could rise to prominence that would contain radical and thoughtful content and sustain itself at the level of pop culture is absurd. And that
can I say this though?
Hold on a second.
All right.
So when anyone suggests that the problem in the content of cultural expression created by oppressed young people is the fault of oppressed young people and those communities, they're doing it willfully, if not, I mean, perhaps ignorantly, but out of ignorance of the context that in the process by which celebrity, fame, pop culture is created. So the other part that they leave out is that there's a long history of Black art and celebrity moving towards the right and being conservative beyond just hip hop. Famously, there's James Brown and Nixon, et cetera, and so forth. So
but this is a hip hop article.
Hold on, Diallo, hold on, give me one more second. So this idea that hip hop should be specially blamed for any rightward move is again false. It is not autonomous. It is not being produced by some autonomously free sovereign community in some autonomously free sovereign process. So I don't like when articles do this, even to the extent that they're right in pointing out a conservative trend as would exist and would be promoted per the context I'm trying to quickly describe. Go ahead.
First of all, I mean, it's specifically an article about hip hop. So I don't think it's fair to say, well, if we're discussing hip hop, what about country music, or what about rock, or what about black jazz?
But they made it about hip hop. The author
yes,
made
it's an article. Yes, it's an article about hip hop, and I think it's fully legitimate to talk about conservatism in hip hop, because I think general hip hop performers and the hip hop genre gets a lot of credit for trying for progressive credit or anti-establishment credit that I think it doesn't deserve. And as a lifelong hip hop enthusiast, fan, student, I think it's necessary to tell for us OGs in the culture, for us elders in the culture, to acknowledge that we weren't as radical or as progressive as we believed ourselves to be, and that the youth, and inform the youth that we also have to acknowledge that especially a lot of older people that criticize modern hip hop, our generation laid the ground seat for the face tat scumbag rap that's out there today. Also, so I think it's fully appropriate and fair to talk about hip hop, to specifically conservatism in hip hop, and you don't have to run around and say, well, it's conservatism in all other art forms, of course. But, and also, there's this thing called picking cotton at night that Kwame Ture talked about, picking cotton at night. And basically, picking cotton at night is when you're doing the oppressor's work on your own time, when you're supposed to be off the clock. So even if you are an artist who, I had to say bitches and hoes to get paid to get signed. I had to get out here and sag my pants to get signed, which I don't fucking believe, because I've seen a lot of up and comings. You know, I don't believe that narrative. I think that's some punk shit and a cop out. But let's say we believe that. There are many of these artists, such as Ice Cube. Nobody asked or nobody paid Ice Cube to write a right-wing, ultra-conservative policy platform for the last presidential election cycle. Well, they might have paid him, but there was nothing hip hop didn't require, need, or want Ice Cube to go and join the ultra conservative Zionist party and become a staunch supporter of Israel and its atrocities. So it's not just, well, the industry is forcing these young brothers. Man, these brothers are older than us. You know, a lot of these brothers who's being forced, these young artists. No, these ain't fucking young artists. Jay-Z and Snoop understand I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And when Snoop Dogg got up for some award that everybody's replaying, Snoop Dogg said, I want to thank me. And I want to thank the hard work that I did. This is me, myself, and I did this, and it's all me. I deserved everything I got because I did this. I created this. I did it. So which one is it? Are these artists that's like, I'm self-made, I'm a businessman, I'm an industry unto myself? Or is it this insidious white man molding and directing these innocent, young, starry-eyed, thirsty, starving artists? I know, I understand the industry. I'm anti-capitalist. I understand our oppressors. But we can't just give these fucking race traders a pass because they got into that industry. Like you said, Rumble came, and you tell them, Rumble, go play yourself. And we have seen artists that either remain independent or some integrity. So we can start by saying, if we're going to call out the insidious industry, we have to start with these artists who lack integrity, these artists who lack solidarity, these artists who have betrayed their people and sold us out, and then talk about the industry. But we don't give these black men a pass, these grown-ass black men who betrayed us, and just blame it all on white daddy. I just don't think that's productive, or in any way allows us to construct a functional response to this shit.
So when you say betray, are you also including Bam? Because according to KRS-One in the Bible, according to KRS-One in his Bible, if you are critical of what Bam supposedly has, then you need to leave hip hop because he's the father of hip hop. So are you throwing Bam in because he's the father of hip hop according to KRS-One? He started it.
Understand that question, but yeah, Bam is a predator. Bam is a predator. Fuck Bam. He should be prosecuted. I think here in New York they did remove the statute of limitation for sexual predation, but I don't know if he was grandfathered in or something. But I do think that there's enough evidence to investigate, prosecute, and then level charges against Bam. And I think that as far as I know, he's no longer touring. He's no longer collaborating. And yeah, fuck KRS-One for defending him. Yeah, but to me, that predation, that's a whole nother thing. I'm talking about the conservative, reactionary, pro-capitalist politics of these rappers who pretend to be anti-establishment.
Okay, you know? So first of all, because we have this disagreement, and we'll continue to have this disagreement, it looks like, going forward. So let me just say a couple things here, hopefully without interruption. First of all, it's not an analysis. I'm sorry, it's not a pass, it's an analysis. So it's not giving anybody a pass. It's trying to develop an analysis of what creates the decisions people make or choose from, and why they choose the ones they choose. So yes, it's easy for me and a collective of us who working together with a certain level of political education and certain political formations to turn Rumble down and say we don't want to continue this or to continue to investigate this relationship. It's very different for someone working mostly independently and without this level of political education and formation experience, etc., to get a much bigger offer and to then take it. That and it also proves the point that I'm getting at, that for any one of us or any group of us that will say no, there are many others that can be developed to say yes, particularly when the oppressive conditions that create those interests and those choices continue on and on and on and on, unfettered. So again, it's not giving them a pass, it's producing an analysis. So I'm saying it's almost like we're arguing in a different order. I'm saying it's cool, even if you want to start with this individual, that individual has sold out, done this, been a traitor, this, that, and the third. It's cool if you want to start there, but if you stop or end there, I think you don't perform an analysis, because the next level, I think, so the next question would be, well, what created the choices for them? What encouraged them to make those choices? And then what reproduces that set of conditions so that others will come behind them and do the same thing, even if others will not do it. All right, so that's okay. So when you say, so similarly to the point where you say our generation didn't do this or didn't do that, our generation never had autonomy or control or independence. This is the fundamental argument that I have with the prevailing hip hop narrative that says we came from nothing, we got control, we changed the world. All right. I've never agreed with it.
We didn't come right. Okay.
I've said the exact opposite. I've said that because of the nothing, people produced something. It was itself colonized, taken over, and from the very beginning turned against the population itself. So anyway, so this idea that our generation should have done something else or could have done something else is, I think, missing much of the history and the context and the point, because our generation never had power. We never assumed power. And in fact, our generation,
we do have power.
Our generation was arguing first to defend the right for hip hop to survive and missed the point that we never had control over our own communities or ourselves or our politics, and therefore could not control the art or the industry that would then colonize it and take it over, because that industry was reflective of a broader colonial process that was colonizing the people themselves. So of course what they produce is going to be colonized. So that's just, give me a couple more seconds here. The other thing is, when you say it's the article is about hip hop, so it's not fair to expect it to do other things, that misses the point. The author either intentionally or mistakenly narrowed, or its editors narrowed the focus to hip hop to make a straw argument that it can more easily knock down. And that's what I'm saying is the flaw of these kinds of approaches and arguments and articles that say that only to focus on hip hop and the rappers and what, as if they are again making sovereign, autonomous, conscious, politically educated choices. That's not what's happening here. The choices many are making are not conscious. They are made out of trauma, stress, and hostility, and are made out of what are made available to them as choices. Then lastly, this idea that Ice Cube or someone, as you said, you said something to the effect that no one made him go and write this conservative platform. And my point is that's in fact never my point. In fact, what I'm saying is the mechanism of manipulation is way more sophisticated than maybe put a gun to your head and make you do something. It is selective based on what those in power want to promote and platform based on what those they are oppressing do based on the decisions made available to them that are themselves controlled, manicured, and selected, promoted, and platformed. So when Ice Cube does what he does, of course he's going to get a certain level of attention and support, as opposed to when many of us do something in an opposite way or in an opposite political trajectory, we get marginalized, suppressed, or worse. So that's the point. So that's the context that I think you and this article leave out when doing what you're doing and saying wow and being dismissive through my entire presentation.
Wow, no, I'm not being dismissive. I'm just blown away. I'm blown away.
So real quick, before you get too blown away, and I know we're gonna get to
this is hold on real quick. This is missing my point. Yeah. This is not about me seeing the best in people. This is not about me excusing their decisions. It's about me trying to reach the level of an analysis as to why they're making that decision.
Wow.
So real quick. So since we're gonna get to Earn Your Leisure and their Red Menace things, and the point that Jared just made about not having a choice, kind of being the battery still being in your back, and you mentioned that explain that. Explain.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Huh?
You mentioned that we do have power. That's what you mentioned. I want to hear more.
Yes, we do have power. Black people have power, and most of our power is one of the things that has been done is to convince Black people that we don't have power because we don't have the instruments of power that our oppressor possesses, mainly weapons, the the access to legitimate sources of violence, access to the weapons, the violence, the fiat currency, and the instruments of industry. So, but what Amos Wilson teaches in Blueprint for Black Power, What Amos Wilson teaches in Blueprint for Fat Power, and in his study of people as they rose to power, or they are institutions and structures of power that have disintegrated, is that the greatest asset and power that a people can have is their consciousness and their culture, their value system. We've seen the United States military beaten by illiterate farmers, illiterate goat herders. We see the United States military machine pushed back by malnourished rice farmers in Vietnam. We understand that power comes from your consciousness and your culture. It is something that humans have invented. And most of these things that control us are literally something someone conceptualized and made up. Huey P. Newton said that power is the ability to define reality and have it act in the desired manner. So having these philosophical understandings of power and translate the ideas into the material reality, we've seen Black people without any power bring the United States to a standstill, whether it's burning down cities or shutting down industries, or, as they say, creating things out of nothing. The problem is not our lack of power. Our problem is our lack of revolutionary consciousness. And a big part of our failure to construct revolutionary and sustain revolutionary movements and redirect our power from taking our power to making white billionaires rich, chasing balls in arenas, in pro sports, getting on the mic, grabbing our nuts. And that's power that we have, but that power is being directed towards accumulating fiat as opposed to power being directed to liberating our people. But other people recognize and harness our power while we sit around talking about we don't have no power. It's fucking crazy to me. So what I say, one of the biggest obstacles to African people harnessing our power for ourselves to generate liberation for ourselves as opposed to generating wealth for others is that we have to start holding our own people internal accountability. Internal accountability. Bobby E. Wright said behavior is created and maintained by its consequences. We don't incentivize loyalty amongst our people. We don't incentivize solidarity, because whenever a Negro goes and sells us out, every time a race trader says, listen, I'm going to sell out my whole race to get the bag, to get a private jet, to get a yacht, we sit in and say, well, it is the white man and his institutions, as opposed to your punk ass selling your own people out. So yes, we have traitors. We have sellouts.
So it's interesting that
people, I'm almost done. I'm about to wrap it up.
Okay, wow, really? Okay. Wow. Okay,
I'll stop there. I'll stop there. Go ahead.
I'm just doing you.
Go ahead.
Wow.
Bleeding heart.
No.
Yeah, I like the wows. Hype man. I don't mind the hype. So if you're just gonna wow, then wow, and I'll keep going over the wows.
No.
If you really if you want me to stop and you continue, which is it? You gonna hype me up or let me finish?
It is fully the hype man, just to promote and to parade around the screen and to get all demonstrative and tough talking.
Yeah, I take this shit personal. I'm sorry, it's not academic for me. I live this.
That's so okay.
I live it. Listen, we have traitors. We have a right. We have a right to demand solidarity and loyalty from our talented leading blood.
This is.
Hold on.
No, don't mute me. Do not mute me. Absolutely not. I'm not having that right now. Because Diallo, this is the problem. We could have all the button pushing and do the hostile thing and do all of that, especially over a screen at great distance. But that doesn't really get us anywhere. So me trying to use this platform in a way.
Did you just tell me to pull up?
Oh, I would never do that. I would never do that.
You said screen great distance.
Because
not joking. I know you my brother, man, but I think you give too much credit to these coons.
Diallo, you interrupt
too much sympathy.
You interrupt too much and don't listen, and that's why you keep misrepresenting me.
I listen to every.
You misrepresent. If you're listening to me, you simply don't understand, because you keep misrepresenting my point and then misrepresenting me. And then at times you get close to that line that I feel that needs to be checked, where you need to be checked. And that's what your boy Skip Coon was doing on your show the other day. And that's what I'm attempting to calmly do as best I can right now. Because on this platform, I don't want to be another version of I don't want to perform another version. So I want to perform the version that you want to demean by dismissing me as an academic and making it seem as if I don't take this seriously and this isn't my life and I don't live this, but you do, and you're the real and I'm not, and all this other stuff. That stuff is all nonsense and bloviation. The reality that I'm trying to get to is not some performance about, you know, pumping my chest and dancing around the screen as if that is some sort of sign of how serious we take any of these issues or how committed we are. That's silly. What I'm trying to do in this space, using this platform, having a little bit of fun, is to make the point and to come back to the point that I'll raise here in the question, which is the consciousness that you in some way rightly point to is developed and has a process by which it's developed. So I'm simply ask you, what is the process by which this consciousness, this African radical consciousness, can be or would be created?
Okay, I'm very glad that you asked that. I'm gonna let all them other shots slide and go directly to that.
You're gonna let my shot slide. You're gonna let me slide. Okay. Wow.
And for the record, I ain't never muted nobody on this thing. So
no, I was talking
whoever
EG did that.
Oh, okay.
Did that.
I don't, you know, I don't try to silence my people. Anyway, this is how you do it. First of all, repetition is the essence of propaganda. So if you want to create a revolutionary consciousness, which is the germ seed and absolutely necessary for any type of sustained revolutionary action, you have to articulate the position. You got to establish a position and then perpetuate and articulate that position to the community. And then in order to get unity around that position, you have to reward those who hold solidarity with the position, and you have to sanction those and punish those who violate the unity and solidarity with that position. So the African people who are conscious, who will not compromise our collective well-being, our collective struggle, our collective values, they have to be held at high esteem. And those who do have to be called out. And we have to acknowledge they are not merely instruments. They're not all merely instruments of the system. Many of them are enthusiastic. They are enthusiastic allies of our enemies. So we have to establish the position, articulate the positions across all media, all platforms, formal education, the arts, rhetoric. And then we have to, as the people that receive the message, that reciprocate, that embrace the message, they are to be rewarded. And if we have nothing more as a people than our praise and admiration and love, then that's what we give in abundance. And when we get more resources, we give more. But as of right now, we as a people, to quote Del Jones, I mean, ain't none of this shit coming from me. We reward and incentivize selling out. Why the hell would I not take the white man's money? Why the hell would I not advance the white man's agenda, mass incarceration, drug, violence agenda, when I'm going to get the same love if I sell out than if I hold solidarity? I'm going to get the same sympathy if I sell out than if I hold solidarity. They're going to march for me whether I get locked up for shooting up my own community and distributing drugs. I get locked up the same as if I went out and tried to rob a bank to fund revolution. We show the same damn solidarity to coons and sellouts as we do. So there is no incentive. In fact, you'd be a goddamn fool to hold solidarity with the interest of the African masses and suffer in poverty when you see people on private jets and yachts where black people are like, oh, it's not his fault. It was the system. I understand I am anti-system and I embrace, and I've studied your systemic analysis and your systemic critiques for as long as you've been putting them out. Back in the Malcolm X grassroots days, I've been there. But one thing that has to be married to that is internal critique, internal accountability, and an internal system for holding these internal traitor sellouts who can be more insidious, more dangerous. And I don't care if it's an Obama or some face tattoo rapper. If you put yourself up as someone who is against the interests, the values, the advancement of African people, you got to be called out. And it's not enough just to blame white daddy. And I'll say this one last thing before I conclude. In their efforts to oppress our people and control the world, our oppressors have more black allies than black enemies. They have more black allies than black enemies. And the only way we can turn that around is to start holding those people to account. And if all we got is our attention and we turn off our attention, if all we got is a middle finger for them motherfuckers, then do that until we get more. And then we're in a more powerful position to level more significant consequences on these coon sellouts, traitors, and backstabbing motherfuckers. I have no sympathy for them.
I haven't expressed any sympathy. I haven't expressed any solid. Hold on.
I appreciate that.
God, man, please, Diallo. I have not expressed any sympathy or solidarity or justification for any of these folks that you have been critical of. I'm simply raising the critique of the context that produces them. And for you or anyone to suggest that that level of analysis is somehow being soft on white daddy or whatever the hell else you were saying, that's just disrespectful and shows that you are not paying attention to my argument all these years as you've claimed. So that part I find frustrating. So for whoever, and I saw what's his name dropping all these super chats saying, like Ronaldo, that I have more hostility towards Diallo than towards these actors. That's just simply not true. They're just not happening. They don't happen to be on this platform misrepresenting me and calling me names, basically, and disrespecting my work on my own platform that I co-created. So if they were here, we would have a very hostile and disrespectful engagement as well. So, but anyway, so Diallo, I hope at some point you at least acknowledge that you recognize that I'm not. You continue to make arguments against things that I've not said, and to put me in a category that I'm not in, so. But all right, that's it.
Listen, a lot of times I'm just articulating my point of view. And then you take that point of view and be like, oh, you're talking against me. I remember our first time. Now,
I can't believe you I can't believe you would sit there and say that. Like, we can't, okay.
I remember the first time we went down this path and you were saying that Dave Chappelle had no agency. And you, in fact, said that you hate the word agency. You can't stand that word and that concept. And you were like, Dave Chappelle, he had nothing. He has to tell the jokes. He has to dance.
I didn't say he had no agency. You've done it again, by the way. You're doing it again. I didn't say
you didn't say you hate that word.
I did say I hate it, but for a different reason. So that's my point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What I said, I hate the focus. I hate the word, and I hate the focus on it because it does exactly what you're doing. It allows for people to sit here and bloviate and pump their chest, talking trash about individuals, which is easier than to recognize the situation that produces those individuals, which is a much more complicated and difficult task to grapple with. So so when you sit there and do the whole thing of you all just want to blame white daddy and not challenge the individual, to me, you got it backwards. It's so much easier to pick on the similarly oppressed, more or less equally powerless individual and say, you ain't shit, and you ain't this, and I'm this, and I'm that. And I don't want to just focus on daddy. I want to call out the traitors. And that to me is just tough talk nonsense. Now, it puts on a good show. And I understand why people in the audience would, and certainly students and chat members would appreciate that. But I'm not here for all of that. I've never been interested in it. I'm never going to win a showman battle. That's why I lost 2 debates to Dyson. But that's not about, but I'm here for the substance. So when it's my turn to talk and when I have something to say, that's more what I want to bring to these platforms and discussions. Because when we're off air and we're off mic and off the record, we could talk as much trash as about anybody, but I don't think that is as helpful in these spaces as what I'm trying to do.
Okay. First of all, next time Dyson come pick on you, holla at your boy. Ain't no reason for you to be out here loosening Dyson's ass. So next time, holla at me. I'm gonna back you up.
I mean,
ain't no more losses to Dyson's coming down the pipe.
I would love to see you in in a structured debate where you're not a host, where you're not.
Oh, that's great because
to do what you're because it is.
Have you heard of the Great Debate League? Have you heard of the Great Debate League? It's a black orchestrated formal debate. I've been on there once.
Okay.
I won the debate. We were debating
good. So
Ice
maybe you're
Cube's
better at that than I
Contract with
am.
America, and I was debating with a very well prepared formal academic. So you go to the Great Debate League. They don't get enough support. And I have an upcoming debate on integration. Someone that said integration was great for Black economic development, racial integration. So I have a debate coming up there. It will be my second debate. And I might lose that one, but I'm gonna come real.
Okay,
I don't really go into debates to win or lose. I go into debates to articulate my position and then let the people decide who they want to rock with. But yeah, I did win my first debate on the formal Great Debate League. And you can find that on YouTube somewhere. But what I wanted to say about systemic versus picking up what I want to say, what I want to say about where you say I talk and pick on the individual. As celebrity is defined, a celebrity is not a person of great talent. A celebrity is not a great athlete, a great singer, a great entertainer. I know many great actors, singers. I was just walking down the street in Hyde Park, and I met one of the greatest actors that I had ever seen. He's not wealthy, he's not well known, but his acting, his craft is unimpeachable. But he's not a celebrity. What makes a rapper a celebrity, an athlete a celebrity, a prominent person? Kim Kardashian, a celebrity. Celebrities are literally living embodiments of the aspirational goals and values of the society. So as you have to often distill these prominent individuals as they advocate and model a lifestyle and aspirations and values. Cosby was that guy for many years. So it is not a diminishment to say, listen, this celebrity, this prominent Negro, this famous person, and their actions, and their positions, and what they advocate and articulate. We got these goddamn celebrities opening schools, educating future generations, from LeBron to Kanye. And then, so I think in a purely tactical point of view, we can start with the celebrity and build up to a systemic analysis. We can start with a systemic analysis and distill it down to a person who embodies that, who lives it out, is a byproduct of all those systems and institutions and wealth concentration as it trickles down or as it blooms up. So I don't think that it is a diminishment of the analysis. I think it is a very useful tool. And we cannot deny the fact that I try to meet the people where they at. So if I need to use LeBron as a critique in capitalism, if I got to use Ice Cube as a springboard and to critique and right-wing conservative and reactionary policy platforms, so be it. You got to meet the people where they. You got to start where they at and go from where they went from.
But that was exactly what I was doing without staying on the level of just calling them names and traitors and cussing at them and all of that. You stopped there and then said that anything beyond that is just blaming the white daddy and being soft and appeasing and being in solidarity with them. So it's what you just said. There's a complete contradiction about what you said today and your argument against me. But that said, two quick points, because I asked you earlier about when you were talking about Amos Wilson and Bobby Wright and the role of consciousness. And I asked you about what creates consciousness. My reason for asking that is that not so much that I disagree with what you or they are saying about the importance of consciousness. It's that I'm trying, at least in part of this conversation, to focus on the creation of that consciousness, the production of consciousness, which is what I think is important to understand if we want to understand why people end up in certain pockets of consciousness or lack thereof, and then end up making the certain decisions that they make. Again, I think it's hilarious on some levels when you also say, by the way, hey, Jared, I know your work for years, and then in the very next breath start quoting things that I've made reference to for decades as if I don't know about it, and then do it as if my argument doesn't encompass those very arguments. Point specifically to this last point, and then I'll stop here. And then Geechee, maybe we can let him get in, and we can go on to the next step. But to this point that others in the chat seem to be not familiar with, as far as my own argument goes, that I do the same thing in terms of understanding that, as I've defined it or approach it, celebrity is a political product and the representation of power, and only exists to assist power in performing its function with greater ease. So when you make reference to older celebrities like Jay-Z or Snoop and say that they should know better, my point has been the exact opposite. Their star power, which is a phrase used in the industry for a long time, only exists so that they are in place over the years to make consistently bad political decisions and make bad political statements and play bad political roles and intervene in negative ways. That's the only reason their celebrity has survived and is sustainable. And that's why I keep, and then I'll stop here, continue to say you can't be rich, famous, and politically radical at the same time. And there has never been an exception in human history, not one. That is exactly my point. So it's not to give them an excuse, but it's to understand the function of celebrity and how it is meant to play a role in maintaining the inequality the rest of us have to suffer. All right, I'm done. Go ahead. Geechee, you want to move us on, or what do you want to do?
I mean, yeah, we move on. Also, I feel like what Diallo talked about with Blueprint for Black Power, we said that we to Amos policy formation chapter, and obviously we got to talk about the economics that he talked about in Blueprint for Black Power, because I don't know if Diallo will come with that same conclusion of we have power when he talked about the lack of political power, but we'll have that conversation later. But what I would want to do is move to Earn Your Leisure, and maybe we can even get into the conversation between traders, people who are just dumb, or that's something that's on Instagram as a poll. But if we can go to that post, or I'm sorry, that clip of them talking about China and all the other shit, maybe we can even continue this conversation in that. But do you have that clip?
I do. You want to hear
the Coach's top thought leader?
Then
I think that it's very important to keep abreast of political actions domestically and abroad. So we know that China in the last couple of days has expressed extreme aggression.
And they have a real
Taiwan.
interesting solution for how we should respond
military
to this.
drills on the shore of Taiwan.
China's extreme aggression.
To serve as a scare warning. They have plans in place that they have, missiles that could strike the capital city. They haven't launched them, but they kind of like just announced a prototype of what potentially could happen if that did take place. For anybody that is not aware, the China-Taiwan issue has been going on for a while. Taiwan looks at themselves as an independent state. China looks at it as a territory of China and a part of China.
And I guess I'm sorry. It's just real quick. Look, you can get it off your chest, but
I can't. I only got one thing to say.
Go ahead. And yes, you are.
Listen, if we're really gonna commit to this EYL thing, Geechee got to shave his head.
Oh, damn.
That's all I wanted to say.
There it is. Yeah, I feel you on that. I feel you on that.
If you're gonna really commit to this, here you and I have fully committed to our role as a countermeasure, as a counterweight,
keeping it real, Geechee,
as a subversive to Black capitalists and Black entrepreneurial cult, to subvert that toxic and non-viable narrative. We have truly committed. And here Geechee is.
I got you, bro.
Geechee, come through.
I got you.
Come on, you gotta commit. Man, see, it's always somebody holding us back.
Now we on the same page, Diallo. You ain't
exactly.
No. First of all, Ian Dunlap got a flat top, so nah.
But and then the coach wanted to stop it. Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
No, and the culture thought leader, he has a kufi on, so we don't know what his hair looks
like. Where the kufi at then? You gonna be the kufi, then be the kufi, man. Just you messing up our whole aesthetic. But anyway,
but real quick, I'm gonna need y'all to vote. I'm gonna need y'all to vote on my poll too. So okay, so you hear the bullshit that they're talking, right? Is it that they're just stupid? Is it that some claim they're enemies of the states, or are they agents of the state? So give me one of your answer and then why. So do you think they are agents of the states, enemy of the states, or they just stupid? But go ahead.
I mean, my real answer would be effectively, there's no difference. But I honestly don't. I don't know. But before I answer, the reason I stopped it was I couldn't help but think, could you imagine being the person watching this, and this is your introduction into the China Taiwan issue? Like,
yeah, it's just like China is bugging.
You're in there like you're like, what? China, Taiwan, what?
They hate our freedoms.
Damn,
they hate our freedom. But hey, I got a new term that I think we need to use, because agent implies a formal relationship, right? And it's like we throw that word agent around, and I think just throwing the word agent around recklessly kind of gives covers for the actual agents. Because if everybody's an agent, who is an agent? Well, I think that's good too, but I call them assets. You know, there's a difference between an agent and an asset. You can be an asset without having any formal connection, any formal loyalty. An asset is say, hey, does what they advocate for, let's say everybody got with their program and advanced their position, would that strengthen the state and oppressive institutions, or would it weaken them? You know, so are they assets to the systems and institutions of capitalism and white hegemony? Are they? So I say I would call them assets to the power structures, not necessarily agents, because I don't think they own a payroll. Because I've been trying, every time I get called an agent, I ask people where to submit my invoice, because I ain't been paid yet for all this agent work I've been doing. So you have to say, you know, let's look at, and oftentimes we don't really have the intelligence apparatus to know who's an agent and who ain't, and it's just going to feed a bunch of paranoia. So if you just go off of what they, right?
Call me an agent. I'm like, how do you know? How do you
so if you want to know if Ball is an agent, say, look at what the specific thing Jared advocates for, the position he takes, and if we all got in line with what the position he takes, would that strengthen or weaken the oppressive apparatus and institutions?
Good method.
So I would definitely say these guys are assets of the systems, but I can't go so far or go on record calling them agents, because do we have any evidence of that? But we got plenty of evidence that they are assets of the capitalists, assets of the imperialists. Right here, we got more evidence of them being assets of the imperial agenda of the West, of NATO, of the U.S. military.
You just can't handle their international.
Being that it's a part of China, they look at it like they have rights to everything that's inside of it. And Taiwan looks at themselves as independent. And the U.S. is an ally to Taiwan in this situation. Taiwan is also home of Taiwan Semiconductor, which you talked about, TSM, which is one of the most prominent chip companies in the world. So this goes on to a long list of different things. And, you know, I'm one of these people where I don't really like to watch too many conspiracy theorists, because a lot of conspiracy theorists, they don't really have any information to back up their conspiracies, but some of the stuff is actually real. So when you look at China and you say, okay, TikTok, right? We know that it's been established that there's a different algorithm in China as opposed to America.
So I want to stop there. I don't know if you all have thoughts on this, but first of all, they say things like this all the time, as if it is established fact, and it's not, and and there are many other ways of interpreting this whole TikTok algorithm thing, starting with something I was even reading this morning, which is just that China has more capability and strict rules over protecting use and engagement of minors than exists here. So it isn't some grand, they push the bad stuff on us and the smart stuff on themselves. They just put limits on the engagement that young people can
and beyond that.
Yeah,
all right, go on.
No.
Yeah, and beyond that, prior to the Reagan, the 1-2 punch of the deregulation of media with Reagan, and then later with the Clinton administration, the U.S. had many of the same rules, and the Fairness Doctrine and things of that nature, and media consolidation. So a lot of the policies that people are like, oh, the oppressive Chinese state is imposing on its media, they got it from the U.S. And then for reasons of unfettered capitalism, many of those media regulations, the content regulations and the media consolidation regulations were lifted so that the capitalists could more efficiently exploit the people. So, it was that mean it was cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. Fuck them,
because it wasn't that the Chinese got what they're doing from the U.S. It's that the U.S. created this situation by getting rid of the regulations so their businesses could target children.
Okay, yes, yeah, well,
but go ahead.
But the U.S. had it before China. The communist CCP had it though. So
the technology.
So I'm talking.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Right.
So I want to go back to the agent thing, So when you have TIs and the Killer Mikes and even EYL, when they have like minority set aside, they got government contracts or situations, are they being paid by the state then and they still pushing the state's line? Would you now call them paid agents? Because they're getting, for instance, TI with the affordable housing stuff he did. You see Killer Mike getting stuff with his business, and the mayor called Killer Mike and TI to come quiet the crowd down. So would they be paid agents then when they're getting state contracts and shit like that?
Again, I wouldn't say that that's an agent either, because the government is the biggest employer. I was on the state payroll, New York State payroll. On 2 different occasions, I had was on the state payroll. I wasn't an agent. I was a one contractor and one is a full employee. So no, I think an agent is a very particular thing. I think to be an agent, you have to be assigned a specific task that you carry out. And in the context that we're using agent, a DMV employee that goes out and say, y'all don't need to be rioting. They might be a reactionary, but they're not an agent. So for the longest time, whenever there were uprisings in Chicago, the city officials would appeal to the local gang leaders to quell uprisings. And then even some local businesses would pay local gang leaders to protect their particular business. And it was quite an efficient relationship. There was recently, a few years ago, an article written about it, the Peace Stone Rangers and how they would protect businesses and quell riots. Now, they are assets of the states. They are advocating for the states. But to me, an agent in the context that we're using it, I think fortunately or unfortunately, they're not as common as we think they are. But when they do emerge, or when they do, like that guy that was the fake BLM protester that was bringing weapons and trying to provoke violence and provoking various BLM chapters to violence. Now that guy was an agent. But if I worked, like I said, if I worked at a state facility and I walk into BLM and I'm like, we need to burn this motherfucker down, just as my point of view, that could be a reactionary or a radical, but that's not necessarily an agent.
So there are a couple of people in the chat going in another part of the direction that I had intended to at least go partially. And we covered it on, I can't remember where I was. It was a remix of one of these shows on the platform recently where the so-called TikTok bill was raised. So this is something that these folks don't discuss in this clip, but is something that I think is really more nefariously behind, if everybody wants to talk about conspiracies, behind all the popular discussion that they just misrepresented in referencing TikTok. So in other words, I think part of what is being, so even to Diallo's point, they may not have been paid specifically to go on here and represent state-favored policies, but they are assets over liabilities to the state in that they are carrying a lot of the mythologies and the dominant narratives into spaces that those in power need help carrying them into. So for instance, when they carry this popular mythology about this Chinese conspiracy to make all of Americans dumb while they take us over with TikTok. I think the real issue is one of these points being raised in the chat about the so-called TikTok bill or the Restrict Act, which is really just about giving more authority to those in power to put us under surveillance, call any of us threats to national security, and do whatever they want with us technologically, digitally, et cetera, and so forth. But instead of having that become part of the national conversation or the conversation among young Black viewers of this particular program, they reduce it into some Illuminati nonsense about the Chinese and this and that and all this other kind of stuff. And we can't ever get to more substantive conversation about what is really going on with these platforms and what they're here to do. So, and then they come back in just another moment and with what I think is their real interest in these issues and why they pretend to have an interest in these issues, which is to get back to some sort of nonsense about investment and investment strategies. Right. But
so how you can profit from the impending world war, how you can come out on top, how you can have the flyest bunker in the post-nuclear age.
That's it.
But I'm asking this question because like Diallo was heavy on the gas with traders and handling traders, and these brothers are talking about they talking about we as in the US, and we need to really stop doing business with our enemies. So these brothers are really into US imperialism, and I wonder if they get the same energy of traders, or again, you're not calling them agents, but I mean, but
you ain't gotta be on nobody's payroll or even caught up to be a trader. A lot of people just take it upon themselves to betray their own community. So, I would I call them race traders? Hell yeah, I would call them race traders based on the positions they take. But would I say that that's a formal position where they have been called by higher ups to take these positions or enact these positions? I would have to say no. And it's also funny, I think Dr. Bald kind of touched on how people in the U.S. government in general get up in arms when foreign countries do shit that the United States has been engaging in for the long haul. I remember the whole thing around Russian election interference. And, people maybe recall that before the whole Russians are interfering with our elections, during the Clinton administration, it was the Chinese who were interfering with U.S. election and having unjust influence on U.S. elections. And the United States, as it goes around the world, either taking direct control, proxy or puppet control of people's states, or subverting democratic states from Haiti to Venezuela. At the same time, we have this fear about foreign countries interfering in U.S. elections. So it's the same thing with TikTok, where U.S., not just U.S. social media sites, but U.S. charity organizations are flooded with active and formal agents. Jackals, economic hitmen, are saturated into U.S. foreign businesses and U.S. foreign not-for-profits and charitable organizations, which threatens the real people.
But you don't think, again, these brothers got millions of followers. They've been on Good Morning America. Like, you don't think you're not giving them enough, I guess, energy that they could possibly be tools of the state? The funding that they're getting, the exposure that they're getting, like, do you think they just offer their muscle financial literacy platform? They got millions and millions of followers because they in a lot of rooms. And they're doing a lot of damage with this apolitical bullshit that they spreading. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
But do you think that is enough to label someone an agent?
I think at some point you won't know a person an agent until it comes out that they're an agent. Have agent if it barks like an agent and it sells like an agent. I don't know.
Right. I'm not going to I wouldn't debate that they weren't. And I think you make a strong argument that there's a possibility that they could be. But one thing we can say concretely is that their position, their ideology, their advocacy is definitely pro-capitalism and now pro-imperialist Western imperialism. So whether they're agents or not, they're people who are not worthy of having a position of respect or authority within any communities that seek liberation and justice.
And I admit a real sensitivity to agent language. I don't like it without real concrete evidence, because I think it leads to and should lead to real severe responses.
Exactly.
So that's why I tend to agree with Diallo's method. I think it's better just to assess, unless you have evidence, it's better just to assess the conclusions, the arguments, the behavior, and then go from there and leave it at that. And then, as I said, it's the net effect is of their contribution. It's indistinguishable. So I would just leave it at that. I mean, and then for them, if they don't want to be seen in that light, then change your behavior. But other than that, I don't think it's even. I don't know. I feel like it's almost inappropriate to speculate about someone's actual agent status. But anyway, it's just a sensitive sensitivity I have.
So I feel that, but if you go in back to Diallo's protocol, it's called the Negro self-exposure. What do you call it? But
yes, self-exposure protocol.
These brothers will fall into the
they
protocol.
walk in bucket naked.
Yes, yeah, that's what I go off of. Yeah.
Yeah, but the reality is they're gonna get the same energy, right? So rather they are legit paid agents or they're doing the shit that they're doing, they're gonna be in that category that you dismissing them, right?
I agree. Yeah, so that's why the reason I developed the self-exposure protocol, so that we didn't get bogged down with, are you an agent, and okay, prove it or don't prove it, and trying to, demonstrate things that we, like I said, as a movement, as a community, we don't really have the apparatus or the infrastructure to really tap phones and do the surveillance that becomes necessary as, the movement advances and becomes more complex. So we need means of utilizing our own assets. So when someone's definitely advocating for shit that is harmful while claiming to be on our side, while telling us to do shit that is proven not to work, that's all you need. You don't need to know whether they're cutting checks in smoky back rooms. We have enough to make a just and fair decision. We have enough information to make a just decision on these brothers without harming ourselves or disrupting our actions as a people.
What did De Niro tell that cowboy in the casino? Either you too stupid or you working with them. Either way, you got to go.
Right. And you look at stuff like...
All I gotta say is, listen, them brothers been reading somebody playbook, and I'm actually surprised they didn't say that China is on the Not Developing Country Act. I'm surprised they didn't even mention the act, because them motherfuckers sound like they was in some meeting rooms with some U.S. Senate and
but they are. But
House
so what I don't think. But I don't think we need to. We don't have to speculate. Look who they look. We've already seen. They platform and interview people like Grant Cardone. They have these invest fests with all these venture capitalists and Wall Street type. They want to be with the billionaires. They read Fortune magazine. They later in this interview, they're on top of Warren Buffett's decision to back out of the semiconductor investment. These are the people they're listening. They watch Fox News. They listen to these folks, and these are the folks in that same article Diallo and I were arguing about a minute ago. The article's rightly pointing out that there's a whole conservative podcast network of hip hop and young youth focused conservative energy, that these folks are all like, they're all in each other's universe. These folks are like, they're hanging out with the fresh and fits, or they're at least engaged in those spaces. Like they're in that worldview. They're in the Andrew Tate's, universe. So they don't have to be in some smoky room to conclude that China's trying to mess up the American youth. And they keep using words like we, and we got to get ready for China, and there's going to be, and then like you said off air, I think we were off air still, when Ian Dunlap comes on screen and with his big pink background pronouncing like he's got some Wizard of Oz news he's going to bestow on the world, and I'm predicting there's going to be a conflict. Well, yeah, they just said that on Fox yesterday. They just said that on CNN yesterday, that everybody's predicting China conflict. I think even on the left, they're predicting a conflict with China. So it's not some. So my point is, they don't have to go to some smoky room to conclude the silly conservative conclusions that they bring to this platform in a style that suggests that it's new and innovative and deep. Anyway, so go ahead.
And when they say conflict, when you talk about U.S. talking about someone conflicting in the context of U.S. international militarism, that means people fighting back or trying to attenuate U.S. military aggression.
Defense.
That's fight. That's attacking the United States. Preparing yourself to defend yourself from U.S. military aggression, or trying to attenuate or slow down or reverse U.S. military aggression. That's terrorism. That's the attack. There's nobody attacking the U.S. There are no enemies of the U.S. that are not responding to provocations from the world's sole superpower. So anybody coming from that point of view, like, oh, they're a threat to us, they are definitely acting on behalf. And I'm glad you pointed out the reactionary ecosystem, how all these people fertilize and feed into and feed off of each other with this reactionary bullshit.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. And that's anyway. So.
All right.
I didn't realize what time it was. I don't know.
In 4 years. Yeah, we need to get into the Dalai Lama before we close. But in about 4 years, the black magic is going up as the newest star.
We got to get you a portable, stable internet connection.
But Diallo, go into your Dalai Lama shit, man.
Yeah, if you're gonna keep traveling all over the world, Geechee, we gotta get you some portable internets. Anyway, yeah. What was this?
I admit I'm late on this. I'm just where the black people at.
Well, if you're going to keep hanging out with the black folks, we got to get you an internet connection that can sustain crossing the boundaries on the other side of all these tracks.
Talk about ages. You see Jared's in a bunker, in a lavish bunker. You in a tropical paradise. I'm the only one in an old grimy hotel room in downtown Brooklyn. So if anybody's agenting, if anybody's getting rewarded.
First of all, you in downtown Brooklyn, you got more money than all of us combined.
Oh, what? Come on. Yeah, this is the part gentrification hasn't spilled over into yet. I'm in pre-gentrification Brooklyn. Okay. So
look, Geechee,
if there's evidence, of people living lavish off this stuff. Man, I got in trouble. Oh, yeah, Lord.
Go ahead. What is the Dalai Lama piece?
Well, the Dalai Lama was on camera, on tape, showing affection to a young child. I don't know if this child was recruited as a monk, but basically he was kissing and showing affection to this young boy, and then he stuck out his tongue and asked the boy to suck his tongue. And people were outraged. And because as I say, I am the hater innovator. I am the hater perpetrator. Nobody's greater. I be hating on shit decades. My hateration of the Cosby goes back to 92. I've been hating, and every time I be hating on stuff, and then decades later, people come out and I've shown that my hateration was justified, and nobody give me my credit. Nobody give me my flowers.
Dang, so I've been Cosby. I'm gonna give you your flowers. We beefed already, but I'll give you the flowers on that. If you beat me to hating on Cosby in 92.
Oh man, I was hating when way back when.
Yeah, okay. Well
recorded on record. But I've been hating. I saw this way back when, again, that the Black conscious community, as they abandoned Christianity, and some of the even way more better conscious Black folks abandoned Islam as colonial, slaver religion, reactionary, male chauvinist murder cult. I saw Hinduism and Buddhism creeping in. you know, where black people started talking loosely about karma and past life. That brother is an old soul, and Erykah Badu and the chants and gongs. And I saw a lot of Eastern mysticism along with some good shit like yoga. I guess that's good shit, yoga and other stuff. I saw a lot of Eastern spirituality creep into the black community. And you'll see the average so-called mystic, Afrocentric mystic, you might find some Yoruba, you might find some Kemetic tree of life systems and science, but it's a heavy saturation of Hindu and Buddhist influence, Hindu, Buddhist tattoos and rituals. And you can't go to the African festival where there's not a lot of henna. And there's a lot of cross-pollination between African mysticism, Afrocentric philosophies, and Eastern mysticism. Not even up to it.
Hate on henna around here, though.
Including with Dead Press, the I Ching, you know, the Art of War, the Book of Seven Rings. So black people, to the east, my brother, to the east, my brother, to the east. Exclaim. So I'm known as Asiatic. Confrontation causes static. But I extremely love Allah's mathematics. So anyway, at that time, I'm like, wow, black people really looking to the east and the far east. They went to Africa and just kept going. They went so fast to go to Africa. They skied across Africa and ended up in Central Asia. So anyway, I began to look into these concepts that I was hearing all the time. Yeah, that brother, yeah, he did me wrong, but karma gonna get him. Or he's been here before. That sister's been here before. And I found that in those Hindu, Buddhist tradition, and even some of the I Ching and Taoism, or as the guy from Afu from with J. Ruda Damages, Taoist, the Taoist, I'm gonna call it like, you know, mama name him Clay.
The Dead President I Ching. He's an I Ching.
The I Ching and Taoist. I'm like, that's some reactionary, oppressive, and even racist shit right there. And I've been calling that shit out about people thought karma is if I kick a puppy, then when I get to my car, I'm going to have a flat tire, you know, or if I do my girlfriend wrong, the next girlfriend I get is going to do me wrong and run around on me. And people are like, that's karma. When I found that karma was rooted in a larger system of slavery and caste exclusion. Right now, there are Hindu nationalists carrying out genocidal policies and lynchings of Muslim minorities within Pakistan and India. Not so much in like the border regions of Pakistan, because Pakistan is predominantly Muslim. But all that to say, and there's much more we can't say, is that these Eastern religions, with all this Eastern mysticism, all these Eastern philosophies, are as bad in many ways, and in some other ways even worse than the colonizer religions, than the Western male chauvinist murder cults. And I think it's ultimately unhealthy for black people, not necessarily to study or to understand, but try to integrate these reactionary belief systems and traditions into our community. Karma justifies caste. Karma justifies abuse. And one more thing, if you read a book called name of the book, god damn it, somebody stole my copy of it, Disposable People. And in one chapter in Disposable People, he explains why there is such a proliferation of brothels, child brothels, because everybody knows about the pedophiles traveling abroad to attack and abuse and rape, right? And they mostly go to what? Buddhist countries, the Asian countries. Because there is a core in that philosophy about the children when they're born with a karmatic destiny, that if a child is born injured, poor, and in destitution, then that is that child's karmatic destiny. And also, when people free Tibet wasn't free when the Chinese went into Tibet. Don't go watch 7 Years in Tibet, that Western propaganda. Tibet was a repressive slave society where those monks imposed violence and they, kidnapped children and abused children in those monasteries. And we all love the Kung Fu movies where they got the children going through that, holding up hot irons with their forearms and shit, Buddha palm. They're violent exploitative and predatory monks and monastic systems within Buddhism. So that's all I'm saying is I'm glad the Dalai Lama finally self-exposed. See that self-exposure? You give it enough time. Self-exposed that these Eastern philosophies, these Eastern practices, these Eastern rituals, and these Eastern belief systems are not pro-Black. They do not in any way advance you. And you'll find, I'm sure some of y'all have had this experience, that the more people get into this shit, the more arrogant they are and harder they are to reason with and reach, you know. And I know that's saying a lot coming from the first segment of the show, the way I was acting. But real talk, yeah, I'm just hope Black folks will wake up to the Eastern male chauvinist murder cults like we are trying to awaken our people to the Western male chauvinist murder cults. Buddhism and Hinduism is no better than Christianity and Islam.
Listen, my biases are screaming out in agreement, but a little piece of me is always is on the other shoulder saying, but you know, Jared, you don't know all the details of this history, and counting on Diallo's recitation of some of this stuff might be dangerous.
Look it up.
So I'm just saying, I'm just putting, you know, placing myself in the research. You know, I'm saying
I appreciate that. Yeah, look up everything I'm saying.
It's like I like what you're saying because but
yeah, hey, go get Disposable People. That's a good book. It's not even a book about Hindu or Buddhism. It's a book about modern slavery. So it goes all over the world investigating. Various modern forms of human chattel enslavement. And one of those sections is people who are enslaved in sex slavery. And they talk specifically about the various brothels in Hindu and Buddhist countries. And why are brothels and child brothels more acceptable in certain parts of the world where, even though they exist everywhere, in some places it's much more blatant. And a big part of it is due to the Buddhist and Hindu philosophies regarding karma and past lives.
So listen, all I can say is, look, I was raised in a household where, talk about early hatred. From day one, my mother was like, Mother Teresa's a fraud. We were watching some TV thing, and they had a scene of Gandhi on screen, surrounded by all these young women and girls. And my mother called that out. It was like, what's he doing? What is this? What is he doing in there with all them little girls like that? What could possibly be the purpose of that? So like, I'm just saying my tendency. Anyway, I think, you know. And I've certainly seen it even in traveling. You could see the white men overseas with their second and third families, their little brown families and you know, side piece families and stuff like that they kept on the low and all that kind of stuff. So it's all kinds of gross stuff happening out there. And I'm definitely predisposed to be against some sort of organized religion. So but
yeah, well, that stuff, I'm not saying it only happens in Buddhist and Hindu countries. I'm not saying that. It happens in Africa, the sex tourism, you know, it's just brothers get a late pass. These passport bros, it didn't start with them. They're mimicking white men and Asian men from wealthier countries like China that have been going around sexually exploiting the poverty and desperations of people all over the world. But only some countries have that type of exploitation philosophically and religiously rooted in their spiritual systems over generations. Some people it's purely economic. For some other places, it's economic and cultural and spiritual. And just calling out that component of it, you know. And if you're going to call out priest, if you're going to call out the Catholic priest, which not enough people do, people out here chasing down transgender people and drag queens and not paying no attention to the priest. And you got to pay attention to the monks. You got to pay attention to the monks. So, yeah, I've been calling this out, and people get mad as hell at me because there's this myth that these exotic, which in itself is a bit racist and diminishing, that calling out these exotic foreign religions and bringing them to the West in order to elevate yourself amongst the Western masses is faulty. and it's just not healthy for the practitioners, and it's not healthy for or beneficial to the cultures you're stealing that shit from. And I get a lot of people that's like, well, meditation is good, and I want to align my chakras, and I practice yoga. Yeah, I'm not saying you can't do your yoga. I'm not saying bang your little gong, but you at least, if you're going to do it with a level of intelligence and respect, know where it comes from. Understand where it comes from. And if you're going to be advocating for something, you should be fighting. I call out all the bullshit within the Pan-African struggle. I name names when I see people in the struggle. I name names not to be confrontational or for social media, but I think anything I'm advocating for, I have to also make sure it goes through ongoing critique and dissection in order to weed out the negative elements that are inevitably going to come.
Creative experiments. We appreciate you being over here, but I can't imagine that what you've said here is correct. I can't believe, first of all, what are you doing watching Killer Mike on Joe Rogan? What kind of self-inflicted punishment are you? You talk about the Catholics and what is it? The self-flagellation. What are you doing? Anyway, listen, fellas, always appreciate it. Even when we argue, I always appreciate these exchanges. What you all got coming up, and what have we missed this week? What's going on? What's the latest?
Tomorrow I'll be at the Seun Kuti concert at the Apollo. So that's where I'm gonna be. Yeah, Seun's coming to the Apollo. Harlem, Nigeria, Lagos and Harlem gonna unite for one night, if one night. So Pan-Africanism will be in the building.
I was about
global
to say,
African community.
That more than anything you've said is a pain, is a hurt to Tariq and them. More than anything you going to Harlem to see Africans.
Yes, I'm going to the historical Apollo Theater to see the historical the legacy artist Seun Kuti. So I'll definitely be there. That's all I can focus on. I don't know what else is happening before or after that. I can't focus. Just looking forward to that show.
Coco over here explaining why he is your ex, or why they are your ex.
She gonna regret leaving him when he get that bag, though. Watching Joe Rogan. What about when he becomes when he gets that bag, when that crypto and them NFTs come through?
If I
he gonna be healthy. He gonna take that ivermectin.
Watching Killer Mike on Joe Rogan. Divorce. She over there. She's probably over there turning on Joe Rogan and Killer Mike right now. Yeah, you.
But Coco, what about when he gets rich? When he opens a black bank? You gonna regret it.
I know, Coco, you talk about all that sovereignty. That
You're gonna regret it. You better apologize because he's about to get the okay, so all right, so just stay on top. When he opens that black bank and does that black entrepreneurial hustle, when that crypto cash out, make sure
about to go.
I'm about to
hit That's funny. Y'all terrible. Terrible. Geechee, what about you? You over in the black section.
I got rain in the background, but speaking of Joe Rogan, I'm still caught up on him being Dino's from H-Town daughter's stepdad now.
Oh, that's right.
I think I told you that a while ago. So I'm still caught up on that when you're speaking about Joe Rogan and whatever. But I ain't doing shit but dodging weather like the rain, and I'm just trying to rest.
Sounds good, man. That tropical rain.
What? Hey, I mean, look, he did. I did.
That's over. Not no more though. But now I'm here, Jared. Call me. I
still think Diallo. I think, with all due respect, first of all, no, you know what? You know what? Maybe you just better. And there is better, because it was in those two settings. I was done in.
Listen. We had Rocky 1, 2, 3. We had Creed 1, 2, 3. It's time for Ball 1, 2, 3. So I'm a train. You got to get in there, Dr. Ball. Put them books down, man. You need some. I'ma slap them books out your hand, have you chasing tickets and punching big hunks of meat. I'll get you in there. I'll get you to win, man. Next time you get on that stage, I'ma coach you.
Oh, it's
gonna win.
It's not happening again.
Oh, don't be scared, man.
It's not about scared. It's not fear. It's just like I was saying when I was arguing with you. I'm only here for certain reasons, and if I can't have fun and be productive, I don't want.
Don't be like that, man. You see, Deontay keeps coming back to fight the Nick. What's that guy? Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury.
Don't ever give up. Don't ever acknowledge defeat, and keep coming back for extra ass whippings, man. You know how to do. You know the protocols.
That's a lot of money he keeps walking back for, though. That's that check. That's that check. That check got his mind cloudy. That boy keep whipping his ass. We keep rooting for him. I keep getting into my black nationalist solidarity.
Yeah, breaking my heart, man. To this day, listen. Next time we go
100-pound man.
But that's why he lost. That's why he lost. And that other time he knocked his ass out, and he was on the ground for like 12 seconds. And that coach, man.
Thank you, Obi. I appreciate
look like he
you cleaning that up. Yeah, go ahead.
Train with a kid. Tyson Fury just he don't look like an athlete at all. So that looks pretty depressing when he knocks Deontay out like that.
You gotta be careful.
Watch out.
He looked like a sandwich. It will lay you out.
Exactly.
That's why I don't talk trash in these streets. You never know.
Right. You never know. Never know.
You know, these little 5'8", 100-pounders with hair. You can't, you know.
Hey, listen, I ain't gonna be too many 5'8". I'm 5'9", brother.
And a half. Tell them Diallo and a half.
Throw the fractions up. Throw the fractions up, Geechee.
Listen, I ain't gonna be too many 5'8" in the streets. Now I'm gonna tell you that. Right.
Oh yeah, throw your quarter inches in the air. Yeah. Don't care.
He measuring from his.
Shave your head, Geechee, so we can. So you know.
That's how he measures. Hey,
listen, I bet you this. After all that shit y'all talk about Tariq, when we go to Chicago. Listen, when we go to Chicago, y'all better know how to fight. I'm gonna say that right now. Y'all gonna talk
I'm not messing with no Tariq.
Yo, see, that's what you need to come with Dyson on. See, you're ready now. I think you're ready, Jared. You are ready. Call Dyson.
Thank you.
Tell him to pull up. Tell him drop his location. We ready to pull up on Dyson.
I was supposed to battle, but he was scared.
All right, fellas. Let's get out
Geechee
here.
not smiling. Geechee is not smiling. Okay, now he's smiling.
He's on a delay. That's why he's
on a delay. I don't want to get off. You don't want to promote the free Geechee movement.
I'm on a delay, but I'm Jupiter every day with this comment. So anybody with 5'9", I don't know what the fuck y'all on. Y'all something else.
Mutants.
Yes, we're the monsters that haunt your dreams.
I was in a room with what is Bashi? Bashi like 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". Bashi tall. Bashi's that's where I felt like Geechee. I was like, God damn, tall. Anyway. All right, fellas. I appreciate you. Thanks to the remixers. Appreciate you as well. Stay tuned to the platform. Keep it locked, all those good things. Until next time, peace if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred used to say. Catch you next time here on Earn Your Liberation. Thanks, fellas. Take it easy.
Peace.